This episode of the Pain Education Corner is sponsored by the Comella Foundation. The Comella Foundation is committed to relieving pain naturally using osteopathic healing principles. Here at the Comella Foundation, we envision a world where people achieve their maximum potential by being empowered with knowledge and skills to heal themselves and others. This information is to be used for educational purposes only and not to be construed as medical advice. If you have any questions or concerns, please consult a licensed healthcare professional. Hello, it's Bill, the knee pain guru. Welcome to the Pain Education Podcast brought to you by the Comella Foundation. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Omer Elma. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Omer, thank you so much for being with us today. Would you share your background, your where you are in your life's journey to this point?
Yeah, thanks a lot. And also thank you very much for inviting me, such a really valuable kind of like platform. And I'm really happy to be here and to have this talk with you. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
As you pronounce my name perfectly, I'm Omer Elma from Turkey. I'm a physiotherapist, and I finished my bachelor physiotherapy education in 2014, and then moved to the England. I did a master in advanced neuromusculoskeletal practice in Nottingham University. There, I had kind of like opportunity to delve in the pain science, and it really attracted me, which bring me here to the Belgium, because I read articles of a brilliant, I say brilliant, and for me, he's really important person, Jonas, Professor Jonas, and then I came here to work with him and to get benefits of his experience on pain science. And now I'm in Belgium. I do Ph.D. in nutrition and on the link between nutrition and chronic musculoskeletal pain. So this is in general my professional academic life journey.
Nice. Would you tell us more? What is pain science? Like, what does that really mean?
It is really broad. So
okay.
Pain science. When you say pain, actually, the first thing that's come in my mind is the person itself, is the feeling, is the emotions, like everything related to the spirit of the persons, because it can change your smile to unsmiled face, and it can change the way that you get the taste from life. So in general, as a personal, what I understand from the pain, but what mean with the pain science is the way to investigate. I think is the way to investigate how pain occurs, and with which kind of factors that it is in relation to, and how it sustain in certain type of conditions, and kind of like the science that investigate these relations and the questions around this, I think, main topics. Yeah.
Got it. And do you have history with pain? Many of the guests that I invite on, something happened in their life that got them into pain, traumatic life experience or something like that. Do you have anything that brought you into this field of work?
Personally, I don't have specific like history, or I don't have specific story behind my like interest in pain science. But what I see is, I think I'm kind of like empathetic person, and I was working with patients, and I see like how pain changes the way that they live. And also when you see people around you that they have a pain, and you see the change in their life, like I was thinking, like, then this is something really strong, that it can totally change your approach to life, and it changed everything. So I think it's my empathetic side with the patients and my relatives, because I had some patients, they were really in a long time in severe pain. So they had these conditions, and yeah, this kind of stuff, like and their families, the situation of their families, and the relations of them with their family. So I think this make me interested in this field, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. And what is your format on how you're working with clients? Is it in a clinic? Is it share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for now, I'm trying to be an academician. I'm researcher here in Vrije University, Brussels, and here mainly my job is to kind of like conduct research and follow up the patients in this research and recruit them. My main contact point happens in this kind of like research, especially around the nutrition and pain science. But on the other hand, I'm trying to these days, I'm trying to continue with my connections with previous patients in Turkey with telehealth, and giving kind of like pain education, or giving kind of trying to increase their awareness in pain and pain science, and trying to give kind of like e-consultation. So, but yeah, hopefully, and it's something like really something new news in my life changed, as I'm non student in Europe, that I was not able to work in a clinic, but this changed and I got my permission. Hopefully, I will soon also be in clinic as a part-time clinician to apply what I learned and what I read and what I research in my studies to the patients with chronic pain. Yeah.
And how does a pain study, what does that look like? I imagine you'd start with people in pain.
Yeah.
You would be studying what's going on with them. Could you give everybody a better understanding of what that looks like?
Of course, yeah, because this was something like in my mind before I started kind of like question how we will measure or objectify this pain, and how we will work and do kind of like interpretations on it. So in academia, what I work like here is we have a kind of like international pain research group, and we only focus on the like we mostly focus on the chronic pain and its related factors. And these related factors are, for example, sleep. We have a sleep group. We have a kind of like researchers working on the sleep. We have researchers working on the imaging studies of the pain, and also nutrition and physical activity, etc. So what we do in terms of pain research here, we try to measure pain in the studies that we apply an intervention, or we want to investigate the association with this kind of like factors. But how we measure, like we have kind of like subjective measurement tools. They can be like self-filled questionnaires, or a kind of like interviews, more qualitative research designs. But on the other hand, we have objective, trying to be as much as objective with the objective tools. We have, for example, electrical stimulation measurements, and we have kind of like pressure, pain threshold measurements, and some other measurements of the pain mechanisms, like peripheral mechanisms, central mechanisms, and some other underlying mechanisms of pain, and try to measure them, and then try to find an effect of intervention, or try to find kind of like association with the change in this measurement with a kind of like a factor that we apply to the patients, or they already have in their lives in kind of like retrospective studies. So yeah.
And when you look, is there a specific type of pain that you would do a study on? Like, let's say neck pain or headaches or something specific like that? Or is when people are in these studies, or subjects are in these studies, it's just anybody in pain, and then you look at these the related factors like the sleep and the nutrition in relationship to a blanket pain in general?
So this is, of course, I have a specific field that I work on. You know, I gave an answer to you, like I said, I don't have like a certain and specific story behind my interest in the pain science, but I have a kind of like a small story. Maybe it's also related with your experience
Sure.
behind my interest in low back pain. So I'm working on the low back pain patients.
Hmm.
Mostly I'm trying chronic low back pain patients, and my research are designed around this topic. So this story is kind of like I was interested in kickbox, and I did 4 or 5 years of kickboxing, and it was the time for me to attend some competitions on like local and national level. And then something stopped me to continue with my kickboxing. It was my low back pain actually.
Mm.
I really struggled with it, and it really prevented me to continue with the kickboxing. And then I changed the way that I do sport or my interests and hobbies. So yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was something that comes from there, I think, mostly.
Got it. And in your own personal experience, did you ever find the solution or the key to unlocking your lower back pain, other than just changing your approach to training and things like that?
Yeah, during these times I was a student, and it was really not easy for me to find out because the awareness also increase not with the, I think, not with the reading or kind of like theoretical background, but on the other hand is the experience and seeing kind of like different cases. I think this is something that increase your awareness of your body and your situation. So during these times I was really struggling to find a way, like because we have kind of like conventional treatments, and of course there are some like important factors that can contribute, but and also, yeah, I was not successful to find a solution. But an osteopath, he was doing a manual therapy in our university. He was a researcher. He helped me a lot, and I really got better, but of course not solved totally. So, but then when I start doing master, and during the master, I changed the way that I live, kind of like
Mhm.
yeah, the eating habits, and also exercising, kind of like, yeah, this kind of stuff. Then it helped me a lot. But now still, time to time, if I do a lot of sport or exercise, yeah, which is logically I feel, but then I manage it. Now I'm more successful than before
Great.
too.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
yeah, as we get older, that happens. We have to take
yeah.
those life experiences and apply them. Yeah, totally. Uh, could you relate some of the insights that you've discovered in relationship to sleep, the as a related factor to chronic pain? Like what did you find out in your studies, the research that you've done?
Yeah, here, unfortunately, my specific topic is the nutrition. I'm working on the nutrition.
Ah,
Yeah, my
then
friend, yeah, Thomas, he works on the sleep. So his main topic is the sleep, but it will be better for the more specialized persons to give their intentions in this field.
sure. And what is his name for the sleep?
Thomas Biltaris, he was working.
Thomas, I'd be interested in just being able to pick his brain as far as the sleep piece. Um, but would you share what the insights that you found as far as nutrition, dietary behaviors that you've discovered?
I'm now in my third year of PhD, and it's kind of like maybe it's not long, but in the academia, I think in a PhD, I think it's a long term. That of course I have a lot of readings, and I did a lot of readings, and also we published some really nice articles. I think that we gave a lot of effort on them. So, but briefly, if I say, like, before, this is a new line. This is like as we know, like new line in pain and nutrition research, and also we are one of the leading groups in the world, I think. So what are the insights? As we know, pain have different mechanisms, like different mechanisms. Broadly, I can say we have like peripheral mechanisms, we have central mechanisms, and also we have pain deriving from the neuropathic problems, like neuropathic mechanisms. And we find some evidence in the literature, the way how we eat, the way how we feed ourselves, the diet and the dietary pattern can interact these mechanisms and can play a role in the occurrence of pain, in the maintenance of pain, and yeah, this kind of like relations, interlinks between nutrition and the pain. So in general, what are the mechanisms in between these two factors? I think I will say the inflammation, neuroinflammation, I think take the stage, and it is the one of the most important factor that's play in this interaction. So then the question is how this neuroinflammation occurs, or how it can be prevented, or this kind of like questions comes in mind. And this is related with the ingredients of our food and the pattern of our food and how healthy it is and how we feed ourselves, etc. So in general, I can briefly give these topics, and then
yeah, tell me more about, I'm trying to get it. There's a difference that I've seen when talking about theoretical, like people, that it's not a huge surprise that people would say, well, yeah, inflammation, systemic inflammation caused by diet can contribute to pain. Not a big shocker there, but is there anything in maybe the getting it more to land for a person who's listening that's like, oh, I should eat broccoli as opposed to cauliflower, or I should give up this as opposed to that, or how can they get a better connection with what they might be eating on a day-to-day basis that could help with that?
Yeah. So the pain science and this interest in the pain and the nutrition is new, but the interest in the other health conditions, especially non-communicable diseases, and the nutrition is not new. So we have some general data from there, like we can in broader perspective, we can divide diet into like healthy and unhealthy, which can contribute to general health. Like what I mean with the healthy, at least like it is in parallel with the nutritional requirements of the body. So if you get enough nutrients from your dietary pattern, then we can decide it as in broader term healthy dietary pattern. But also there are some specific things that we need to talk about. Like for example, do you eat a high fat diet, or do you consume processed sugars, like high carbohydrate diet, or kind of like your dietary pattern is more prone to be a Western diet, like do you consume fried foods a lot or packaged foods a lot? This kind of like stuff. But on the other hand, if we go in depth from this point to one more down, then we see there are some important nutrients they play in this factor. Like for example, do you consume enough food to get the magnesium from the body that you require, or omega-3 and omega-6 balance of your diet is in the line with the healthy health recommendations? For example, it's 1-to-1. Like you get one omega-6 from a food and then one omega-3 from another food, or from the same, but it's the 1-to-1. Is it balanced or not? So because this kind of stuff, like as I said, like magnesium, iron deficiency also can important play in this reaction, what we see in the literature. On the other hand, omega-6 and omega-3 unbalanced, B12 vitamin and vitamin C, E antioxidants, because we need them especially to cope with the oxidant level in our body. And in molecular level, like in nutritional level, I can say these nutrients especially, they come in my mind. And also the way how you eat like high caloric intake diet or not, like your BMI in the range of a healthy BMI or not. Like when I say BMI, might some of the clinicians of researchers say like it is more superficial, like don't stay there. Yes, I agree with them. Like the fat intake, like fat composition of your body is more than the body that your body can cope with or not. So, and it is directly related to your diet, and high fat diet, high carbohydrate diet, as I said, like the diet that contains processed foods, fries, and diet which is lack in certain vitamins and minerals that I said, and lack in the antioxidants. So in general, I think we can talk about this kind of habits.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Pain Education Corner. If you have a special talent or skill to relieve pain and you'd like to become a guest on our show, visit us at thecomellafoundation.org/interview. Help us spread the word on eliminating pain and suffering in the world. That's thecomellafoundation.org/interview. Yeah, I mean, this is great. I personally work with people with chronic knee pain. And one of the supplements that I begin working immediately with clients across the board is magnesium. And invariably, when they start incorporating magnesium, either taking it in a supplement internally, or they start putting it on topically where it absorbs through the skin, their pain level goes down like immediately, if not sooner. It's pretty amazing. So that is awesome to see on your end, from like the research that you've done in terms of the nutrient deficiency in the foods, or what they're not getting because their diet may be a typical Western diet or something like that. They're not getting these nutrients like the magnesium or the 1-to-1 omega-3 to omega-6, iron deficiency, B12 deficiency, vitamin C, vitamin E. That's
protein. I missed there amount of the protein that you get from the foods, and it is like from the animal source or the like kind of like plant-based proteins. That, so yeah.
And what have you found regarding the animal versus plant-based protein? Is there, because there's a lot of people that are very much compassionate in the sense of not wanting to see animals suffer, so they give up animal protein in lieu of a strictly plant-based proteins. Did you notice a difference in pain levels, or what did your research uncover with that?
I have a kind of like a statement in my systematic review, and we did a kind of like really comprehensive systematic review, and there we find a study that they investigated actually this question. Like it is not directly this question, but one of the findings from their study was the in fibromyalgia patients, if they consume more animal-derived proteins, then they are more prone to have pain. So their pain severity is in a direct relation with the amount of the protein that they consume. But on the other hand, we see the other patient groups, because there is an important questions comes in mind, or an important point, like these mechanisms are not same for all of the pain conditions. Vegan diet, we know it can work most of the pain conditions, but on the other hand, we see like there are some studies they revealed that in rheumatoid arthritis it's not always working. So there are like conflicting results, but this is not these results and these studies are not also, I need to mention this, are not really strong and gold standard studies. The one problem with the nutrition is especially nutrition and the pain, is the lack of this gold standard studies actually. So, but I can say this also the on the other hand, like the other part, when I look at the other studies in my systematic review, people who consume more plant-based derived proteins, they can handle or their pain level alleviated or decreased, or it's in diverse indirect relation with the consume. So.
Did in the study that they did regarding the animal versus plant-based protein, did they make any distinction in regards to the diet that the animal was on? Because I from my understanding in my research reading and things like that, depending on the animal, of what the animal is fed, the imbalance of omega-6 to omega-3s can be created. There can be an imbalance created in the animal that then when we consume the animal that didn't have a good diet for the animal, it then passes along to us. So for instance, a cow, let's say a cow that's fed strictly grain, or a cow that's grass fed, they're going to have a different quality of protein in the meat with the imbalance of the omega-6, omega-3. I'm curious if the studies had any sort of distinction in that realm.
This study actually was a kind of like not directly giving an answer to your question, but logically, like they divided groups in two. One was omnivorous diet, and the other one was vegan diet. So we know vegan diet doesn't consist, of course, like animal derived protein. But here I really this is because something I was thinking on. As a person, I eat meat, and we had kind of like conversation with friends, and I really feel guilty when it comes to the animal rights or eating a meat, or but it's not because that I'm doing wrong. It's because we don't have research or studies that they can say the animal meat is not for us. So we don't have this in the research. So, but on the other hand, like if we are going to talk in scientific way, we cannot say such a like strict statement at this stage of science on this topic. So we don't know, like in terms of the science, we don't know is animal products, animal meat is really not for us or it is for us. So we know if you don't get your proteins from animal derived proteins, then you are more prone to have certain type of health conditions. But on the other hand, vegan diet and people who follow vegan diet have their own way of kind of like closing these gaps between the meat proteins and also the plant-based proteins. So,
Sure.
but unfortunately, at this stage, we cannot say like this way or this way, because this science is, for me, like also this is the point, like the science doesn't have like historical roots with the history of the humans. Mm-hmm. So it is there, and this was the way of how they were eating. I'm not saying like this was right, but there is like at least an experience or kind of like an observation point there. And the veganism or vegan products, so they are new actually. We don't know how they will change the way we live or how they will affect our health. We don't have both data from both sides to have a kind of.
Sure. Yeah, it can get a little tricky. And ultimately we're so different in terms of personalities and regions of the world that there's different diets. There are certain diets that I know if I lived in that part of the world, it would absolutely wreck me. That I just couldn't eat that way. It would be very difficult for me. Yet in other places would be just fine. So I think it's an experiment, even a personal experiment. People have to see what works for them, what doesn't.
this is really nice thing that you say. You're like personal experiment. Then because this is related with my following research questions, and I'm really willing to continue with my way in genetical part, like in terms of the personalized nutrition, and in my postdoc, hopefully in my postdoc process. So it really changed from person to person how you react to these foods. So it changed even the food that I'm not originally from here, and my genes are. I bring my genes from like Turkey, Anatolia, and I come here in Europe, but I eat foods planted here. Does it have any effect or not? So because foods are the message that we take in our body and try to have the kind of like mechanisms in our body in a way or in a way that we need it. So it's a message, but is it the right message that I get from there? Because from local people, I hear kind of like stories when you go them and you have a kind of like a unknown pain or unknown health condition. Some of them, they can say, okay, eat then for example, garlic or onion or anything, like, or the tomatoes or the peppers from the land that you come here. Like these kind of stories, of course, not scientifically, but they can trigger some scientific questions to go on it. And I think this is something important.
Yeah, I think, well, there's so many, gosh, we could talk for days on that, but it's interesting because something that I've been personally working on is raising my own food on the land that I live, even though my family was from Italy. So it's different types of food in a different land, yet by producing it myself, I think there's a closer connection. There's an innate intuition or a knowledge that the land will produce the medicine or the types of food that would help us most with what we're dealing with.
Exactly. So yeah, this is the best way actually, but most of us, we don't have this opportunity. I wish we had, but yeah, at least you know from where you are eating, because you don't give it to someone's hand or some company's hand to prepare your food for yourself. But yeah, we are all are at the same level of the sensitivity when it comes to this kind of like businesses. So
sure. Here's a what's occurring to me in terms of your research and study, and something you mentioned at the beginning was you're very empathetic towards other people. So it's when you're empathetic like that, you get a sense or you feel their pain in yourself and you don't want them to hurt. So you want to do something to help them. In any of your research, and I know it's a very difficult thing to quantify or qualify, how does emotions affect when the types of food you're eating? Because if I eat food when I'm upset, my ability to digest the food is going to be very different than if I eat that food when I'm happy. I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but answer that however you feel comfortable, please.
This was I think this question was the one question that I faced when one of the first questions or one of the first answers that I faced when I start my PhD. And there it was saying like in chronic, especially chronic low back pain patients or patients with chronic pain, they are more tend to eat high caloric diets, like sugar. They are not going to get sugar and fat. So then, and also they are more prone to be kind of like overweight or obese. Then, if you look at this interaction, you see that intake of the brain, and it comes to the gut microbiota as well. So the anatomical place that decide which food that we need or eat, then it is it really changed with the pain. Also, it has the relation mechanism to there, and then it makes you to eat more sugary foods or foods that containing fat, like kind of high caloric diet. Yeah, this was the something that I read there, and then I said, because then you say like, does it comes after you feel pain, or it is the reason that you have pain?
Oh, wow. Okay. I got you. Yeah, that's so interesting. And that was it specifically you studied lower back pain.
No, I
Or
didn't like we don't need to study actually to find all of this answer, but there, yeah, I read it, and it was
oh,
kind of
wow.
like a preparation phase of my reviews, and it was a more theoretical part, and it was a reading from the literature.
Hmm. It's a little bit of a like a chicken or egg
Yeah,
scenario. What came first? The
when
lower,
uh,
yeah.
when the point is human, and the because it's a closed box,
Yeah.
we really don't know the not always we are able to know what happens there, because still like we have non-specific chronic low back pain. What does mean non-specific? Because we don't know the reason. Uh, so you cannot
Uh-huh.
dive into something, but then you say non-specific, but this is not the classification actually. So for my mind, maybe academicians from science, they will judge me, but there we don't have answers. That's why we say non-specific low back pain. It is
Mhm.
not in other classifications. So
Yeah. Like for instance, a real quick story. I'm working with a client earlier today from Germany, and she had suffering from knee pain, Baker cyst in the back of her knee, and I was giving her specific neuromuscular reeducation exercises to work with her knee, and it's designed to release the tension pattern in the neurology of the knee that then the nervous system reorganizes around. When she did that, she began, she was getting upset, like emotion was coming up. And there's like this connection that I've seen when we have physical pain, there's some sort of emotional component related to it. When we release the physical component, now that kind of comes flooding out through that.
yeah, I had also like kind of same story, and it was really interesting. I was working in Turkey during these times in a private clinical practice, and there I see some patients. They come certain date of a month or like regularly, and there is a kind of like pattern when they come there. And when I talk with them, like I talk with them and have the like history of their life and also the pain related things, then I realized that when they feel lonely at home,
Mm-hmm.
they feel back pain, and then they come there to get the treatment. Then I realized because there is a kind of like community in this clinical practice,
Uh-huh.
and then they are not feeling like kind of like loneliness, and because it was a trigger, they were conditioning them, they were conditioning loneliness with the pain. So if you
Mm.
condition this, then it's kind of like an Pavlov's experiment, like when you ring the bell.
Right. The dog salivates. Yeah. Yeah. That and I see that in working with clients, one of the major concerns that they have when they go into a clinical setting, whether it be talking with a doctor or a physical therapist, physiotherapist, is that they're kind of moved right through. They don't get a chance to really tell them what's going on with their knee or their back or their neck or whatever that is. So they feel unheard in a way that they don't get to share, have that community created. Uh, Although I can also see it from the doctor, the physical therapist perspective. There's so many people in pain. How are they going to help? Like, where do you find that balance between those two?
If I didn't misunderstand the point that you are trying to mention, like for me, we are working with the humans, human beings like us. So we are working like with us actually, like it's us there.
Yes.
have different faces, but we are not so different from each other. And we have like, I personally, this sentence will not be scientific, but we have spirits. And if you communicate with a person, I think the important thing is also communicating with the spirit of this person, with the soul of this person. This is what and this comes with this is the reason why history taking is the first class of the evaluation. History taking is important. It's not only asking questions, it's like empathy and then talking with them and then trying to this is the reason also why we people who work like healthcare staff, who work human beings, we need to have also a certain level of psychological education. So you need to ask them, you need to talk with them, and then try to explain them what you are going to do. And this is a part of like pain education as well, like what you are going to them, and make them believe in the treatment, or at least in yourself. So if you don't have this kind of like communication, because we are not mechanical engineers, that we don't work with machines and you do something and it happens or not, or we are not coding, you correct the code and then a computer works or not. So, but we are working humans, and the way how you talk with them, the way how you salute them, it all have effects. Actually, treatment starts from the way how we talk with the patients. If we ignore this part, then especially in chronic pain patients, in which group that's psychological topics, psychological factors play an important role. This point like constitute more important, like from my point of view. But this is not scientific, but this is personal. I need to.
Yeah, there's a human component you're bringing to it, and I think you're a very special person for approaching it that way. And I certainly hope that there are more and more people in the medical profession or in a clinical setting that can bring that approach to the table in helping people. And I think it'll be definitely a game changer with how to help people with pain.
So I don't find myself, as you say, thank you. You are just mirroring me, but if we skip this point, then yes, I think because biopsychosocial is there, it's not something new, is there, and it's I think it's well accepted. So what does psycho mean in this biopsychosocial concept? I think we need to talk a bit in this part, and then we need to say also the how you, as I say, like behave in the treatment approach, in the treatment can have special effects on the patients, because we are not for me, like we are not surgeon. We don't do kind of like street chains and something resolve. We are promoting patients, promoting them to them, like have kind of like increase their healing capacity. So if you want to promote, then you need to really approach a way that you can touch these mechanisms, because I always say, like, we don't treat their body, treat themselves. Patients treat themselves, and we contribute to this process. We are a kind of like guide. How I look at this, and you don't accept a guide that you don't respect to him. I think.
Yeah, and I think looking at it from a neurological perspective, when you create that environment for a patient to be heard, listened to, supported in their pain, there is a neurological shift that goes from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state. In the parasympathetic state, the body already starts to heal and it sets up the conditions for the body for the person to heal themselves. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate that. Omer, is there anything else you'd like to share or kind of bring to the table that I may not have covered or didn't go far enough in my questioning in today's call?
Like in general, I think we talked a bit around the nutrition, and then we talked a bit around the like general rehabilitation part. But we need actually this is a kind of like, can be a call. We are also going to publish it. It's accepted, and it's a kind of like a call for international scientific community to integrate nutrition and also pain-related lifestyle factors in their education curricula. And this will be what I really want to mention it from here. And also the second thing is for the clinicians, there is a gap between the science community and the clinical community. I think we need to decrease this gap, because it takes time. When we search something, it takes time to see this kind of like new approach in a clinical practice. And I read in a study, like it was kind of like around 10 years it takes from implementation of a scientific finding to the clinical practice. That's why I would suggest clinical practice, especially who are working in pain patients, and also the other patients, it doesn't matter. Nutritional education will benefit them. This is what we see in the literature. So I would suggest to have a look at there if you are interested, and so if you want to increase the effectiveness of your management process. This is something as a kind of like professional friend that suggests.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always open to more information, more effective approaches. Absolutely. Omer, and this is something we offer through the Pain Education Podcast and the Comella Foundation, the ability of anyone that would be viewing this to be able to reach out to you directly. There's no pressure whatsoever. If it's something you feel comfortable with, if that's something you'd like, we can set up a link below this video where they can reach out to you. And you were talking about the telehealth, the e-consultations. Is that something that we can set up for you, or are you in a place right now? You just let me know what would work.
Why not? So I will be happy if I can help in this process. And also, sure, like I have a kind of like website. It's omerelma.com. I just created it because I got kind of like it's difficult because I only have a ResearchGate profile, and for the population, not for non-academic population, it can be tricky to reach me there. And now I have my own website. From there, they can reach me wherever you want.
Perfect. We'll make sure all of that is in the description box below, where people can reach out to you directly, contact you via your website, or schedule a time to speak with you, send you an email directly below here.
Good pleasure for me.
Cool. Let's see. I feel pretty complete in terms of everything we've talked about today. Anything else you'd like to share right before we wrap it up?
I think no, for now. Yeah, we talked a bit from everything. So I was also blessed to be here, and thank you very much again for inviting me. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, Omer, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you and you share your perspective on the pain science and all of that information you had to bring to the table. So we very much thank you. I'll wrap it up from here. This is Bill Paravano, the knee pain guru, on behalf of the Comella Foundation and the Pain Education Podcast. Thanking you so much for being here. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you. Thank you as well.
Thank you for tuning into this week's segment of the Pain Education Corner. Join us next week for another conversation on natural healing methods to eliminate pain. To learn more about the work we do at the Comella Foundation, please visit our website at the Comella, COMELLA foundation.org.